I'm Bonita Nathan Sussman. I'm at a wedding in Nicaragua. This is my fourth time in Nicaragua. I'm vice president of Kulanu, an organization that deals with returning, emerging, and isolated Jewish communities around the world. We are working with a community in Nicaragua for the last 3 or 4 years. We have completed 28 conversions, and we've just had our 9th wedding today. A few Jewish babies have been born from these marriages, and we're all very excited. Right now I have with me Kurt and Veronica Preiss. Kurt is the acting president of Kulanu for the past, how many years, Kurt?
3 or 4. Three.
No, more than that. Yeah, we've been here 3 years already.
And I was done maybe 4 or 5.
Okay, 4 or 5 years. The community is an old community, and I'd like to have Kurt tell you something about it.
Hi, my name is Kurt Preiss, and I am now the actual president of Congregation Israelite de Nicaragua. We are a micro community, very small community now. Thanks God and to Kulanu, Rabbi Sussman and Bonita. This community was on the verge of total disappearance since during the political situation here in Nicaragua in the 80s. The majority of the Jews fled the country, and some were quite old, and some were all passed away in different places. Some didn't want to return, and only a few of us returned. For instance, I returned in 1989 from Miami. I was in Miami from 80 to 89, even though I came to Nicaragua in 1967. So I returned, and we were basically only maybe 3 or 4 Jews from the whole community. And it was very hard for us to keep a community with that amount of people, even though they were American Jews coming in mainly to Granada for tourism as touristic residents. But they were not really fully integrated to the community, even though today they are a little bit more integrated. So we had a big problem. We had.
Can you talk a little louder?
We had older people, a disappearing community. What do we do? And we had a lot of persons who wanted to convert to Judaism. We were already meeting those persons. They were coming together with us, and we had great teacher, Carlos Perez. He was a converted Jew. He was providing classes, doing a lot on his own. But one thing he could not do is conversions. So I met once I got a call from Daniel Schechter, which is today he's an actual board director of Kulanu, and I met him in San Juan del Sur, and he told me, what do you need? I told him the only thing we need is conversions. We don't need money. We don't need nothing. We don't even need a synagogue because there's nobody to attend a synagogue. So we need conversions. And as Bonita said, we already have 28 persons converted, children being born, marriages, and there's still people who are interested in further conversions. Of course, we are very careful with these conversions, and they must go through a whole procedure of classes. Men have to go to Brit Milah. And then once they're ready, the Beis Din provided by Kulanu, and with the help of Sussman and Bonita, they come down and go through the final steps of
conversion with mikvah. Yeah.
And the certificate of conversion. But this is all a question of time and money. We have the time, but we don't have the money, because we are a very small community. The whole members of this community were big industrialists, but they all fled. they all fled and they are already passed. So this community today is not a poor community because it's mainly professional persons, but it's not a wealthy community. There's not really big sponsorship, and but we try, we try to survive, and we try to keep the flame of Judaism as much as we can.
What is your policy around like any conversion? I know in your bylaws you will accept any documentation for acceptance as a full member into your community. Is that true?
No, it's not completely true. We would accept them, but the board of directors has a screening procedure, which by no, it's not a question of just bringing as a conversion certificate. It's of studying the person, because we have seen conversion certificates which are done. Speedy Gonzalez stuck in Miami on not really sustained conversions. So we would study the persons. Now, if the person has lived with us for years, like the case, in most of the cases, they have to live with us. Then it's a different story because we know them. That's why it's not only a question of studying 2-3 years and going to the health conversion, the whole conversion program. It's a case of living together with the community, and that makes a person known to us. Like for example, the Rubina family, they've been with us for many years. Alfonso Fried has been with us for many years. So there's no question about that. But we have certain screening procedures
to make them part. Tell us about the 2 Jewish cemeteries that I once visited.
Well, the main cemetery, of course, is in Managua, and it was quite a large cemetery. But during the revolution, part of the cemetery was deeded for burial of died soldiers, and the remaining part was very small, and we were able to enlarge it for 6, 7, 8 persons. So that's why we have now. For example, my mother is buried in the Jewish cemetery of Managua. The Jewish cemetery in Granada is a very old cemetery. It's very interesting. In fact, Israel is written with a Y, not with an I, like in Latino, I suppose. But the problem is that the inside cemetery, even though the Jews buried there, the cemetery belongs to a private family. So they have buried persons of non-Jewish faith inside. That's why we don't use that cemetery. We use it only as historical purpose to show mainly what the old German Jewish settlers.
When was this community started?
Officially on records, sin was started in 1965, June 1965. But there was a community before.
Tell us, wasn't this created in the turn of the century by refugees?
It was created by refugees who came from different problems in Eastern Europe mainly. And the people from Lithuania, Russia, Estonia, and Hungary, they were the basis for all Jewish families which are buried over there. And it's a very interesting cemetery, very emotional cemetery, because you can see how the struggle of these people from different places coming to Nicaragua, and how Nicaragua was such a wonderful land, which was always open to Jews. And this is what makes us so proud about Nicaragua, because people misunderstand Nicaragua, but even today Nicaragua is a very free country, very open to Jews. Even though it doesn't have a very clear political relation with Israel, but that really doesn't affect the community at all. We feel very well over here.
Tell us about the old synagogue that was confiscated by the Sandinistas?
Well, there were a lot of mistakes there. One version is Herti Levites was then the mayor of was a big political figure in the Sandinista government. I was a very close friend of him. He was a very nice friend, very Jewish, and he, in his opinion, he tried to save the city. And I believe he did. He created a school for disadvantaged children, which was untouchable. So he told me, listen, I did this to preserve the city because my father was a practicing Jew, and I always felt. And when I came back, because I was one of the first few Jews who came back to Nicaragua, he offered to give me the city. But personally, I could not take it because we didn't have the funds for it. And then something went wrong over there, and he was sold by somebody, but not him. It was not a political situation. It was a private situation. And today it's a funeral home, which we don't have we don't have a title to it, nothing. We don't have nothing to do, but we don't feel any animosity because that happened. Because I spoke to her a lot about that, and his explanation was very, 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 very precise. Because even though his father, Saul, belonged to the old Jewish community, he told me that since he was always involved against the government, Somoza government, he had a lot of problems. And the old Jewish community, to help him, provided financing so he could leave the country and not be put in jail. So he was always very grateful.
Okay, I want to ask Veronica. Okay, so Veronica is my friend, and we're always happy to see each other. And my question is, what did the conversion that happened 3 years ago, how did it change for you?
Okay, ¿cómo ¿Qué provoca?
La conversión de hace 3 años, ¿cómo ha sido eso para vos en tu vida?
Esa ha sido una de las cosas más lindas que ha sido en mi vida, ¿verdad? Yo se lo agradezco mucho a Shen, a Nay, a Rabbi Sussman, a la Bonita. Es avalar lo que yo sentí en el alma, la creencia en un solo Dios. Vi todo el trabajo que ellos hicieron, por todos nosotros, por todo ese grupo, que ellos vinieron hasta Nicaragua a convertirnos. Es el cambio que se da en la persona, ¿verdad? Donde que ya tiene un alma judía, un alma monoteísta, donde siente el amor hacia un solo Dios. Entonces, yo ya tenía el alma judía, pero todo converso necesita de un certificado. Y es donde entra Bonita, donde entra Rabbi Sussman, donde ellos se encargaron de contactar a Rabino Klein, a Rabino Newman. Entonces, todo este conjunto, todo este trabajo de personas hacen de que el converso pueda lograr el objetivo para lograr tener una vida judía completa, de felicidad y de entrega a Hashem total. Entonces, yo estoy muy agradecida, ¿verdad? Me siento feliz, me siento bendecida con la vida que llevo, me siento bendecida con mi matrimonio, con el esposo que tengo. Estoy muy feliz con todo lo que la vida me ha
Okay,
entregado.
can somebody translate all that?
I'm going to try.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
going to try. Veronica is very thankful, first to Hashem, and second to Rabbi Sussman and Bonita Sussman, and the best team that they put together to come to Nicaragua and to convert a group of people. And for her, that she felt Jewish in her heart. She had, as she says, her soul was Jewish, but she had to show it. She had to bring it out, let's say, and she also needed a certificate.
Okay,
And
documentation.
Yes, so that's what Rabbi Sussman and Bonita Sussman did for her, to provide something that she already felt in her heart to be a good Jew.
Oh, well,
So she's very thankful for that, and she's happy. She's happily married to a Jewish man.
Well, I want to thank Ileana for translating again. I want to say Mazel Tov to the bride and groom. We're actually sitting underneath the chuppah in the evening in Nicaragua. And I want to say Mazel Tov and thank you to everybody.
Mazel tov. Thank you very much.
Good night.